go to Taco Bell Hotline. Let's get some more information right here with our guy, Jordan Wahlberger. Jordan, good morning.
Hey, boss, how you doing?
Doing well, man. And I was a little quick on the intro. You have done a marvelous job with the sport of MMA and reporting. And y'all's group and website is what? Let the listeners know, man. Let the listeners know.
Well, thank you. Yeah, MMANonstop.com. Right here in Austin, Texas. We combine all your news and notes from all over the web. We have interviews. I talked to GSP last week. Had an interview with him up on our website right now. Interviews, articles, and all your news from all over the place. That way you can get you get up to date on what's going on in the world of MMA.
Yeah, well, I was working for the children, Jordan, and doing what we've been pleasured to do for 3 years, and that's to raise money for Make-A-Wish of Central and South Texas. So this one did, I have to say, got past me, and I just trying to do a little resting after the golf tournament. So tell us what you thought about this UFC 149.
Well, I'm not gonna sugarcoat a lot. The pay-per-view part of UFC 149, wasn't the best fight we've seen. Probably of the year. It wasn't, the fighters, you look, some good names on there. You had Uriah Faber fighting Renan Barão for the interim bantamweight title while Dominic Cruz is out. You had Hector Lombard making his UFC debut. He was on a 25-fight win streak, coming in and fighting Tim Boetsch in the middleweight, which is a really interesting division right now. And you had some other good fights, Czech Congo and Sean Jordan fighting the heavyweight tournament. And, they really just didn't show up and turn out a good night of fights. Hector Lombard and Tim Boetsch, they both looked kind of flat in their fight, and it went to a decision to Tim Boetsch, who was definitely the underdog coming to that fight, but just not that impressive. The main event, which was Faber versus Barão, it was better than most people thought, but after a night of fights that they saw, I don't think people were really happy with the ending of UFC 149. The prelims were great. We saw the tie for the fastest knockout in UFC history was Ryan Jimmo. He knocked out Anthony Perosh, and now the fastest time for a knockout. That was very impressive. A lot of great fights on the undercard, but overall, not the best kind of fights we've seen in a while.
So, Jordan, this has been Faber's, third title fight since he got into the UFC? Do you think the new talent has just passed him by? Is his time gone?
I hate to say it because I like Uriah so much. He's a great ambassador of the sport. He has done very well. Dominic Cruz, it's his second title fight. So he fought Dominic the first time for the title last July at UFC 132, which he lost a narrow decision. And then this is for the interim title against Renan Barão. And he wasn't able to respond. Renan had a little bit more reach and was able to strike a little bit more efficiently. And really, Uriah just never got anything going. Two judges had it. Gave Uriah one round. I don't know if I would give him one, but and maybe he's not moving to flyweight. He's not going to go back up and fight Jose Aldo at featherweight. Bantamweight is where he's going to stay, and he may not get a title shot for a while.
Yeah, don't forget he also had that title fight with Aldo where his legs were obliterated.
Sure, and that was one of his fights in the WEC that was there. That you're right, he did lose that one as well.
Yeah. Now, the Hector Lombard fight, he came in with lots of fanfare from Bellator, and really, I don't know if the moment was too big for him, but he really didn't show anything last night.
I was really thinking, as I watched him, he's, like I said, he's right in that 25-fight win streak. He's got great striking, he's got great judo, but he looked flat coming out there. Tim Boetsch, he wasn't able to kind of cut in there and really get his good takedowns and really get some that sharp, striking that we're used to seeing Hector Lombard. And that was unfortunate because a lot of people were really expecting him to make an impact on the middleweight division, and I have him dropping out of my top 10 now.
Yeah, so we can expect to see Chris Weidman get the next shot against Anderson Silva?
Dana White had said, hey, guys, I can't wait to talk about the middleweight division. I got a lot of things coming up. Talk to me on Saturday night. I'll tell you all about it. And last night, Dana White was in no mood to talk after the event, and he thinks that there should be some more fights. Anderson, who didn't take any damage at UFC 148 against Chael Sonnen, should be ready to go. He typically likes to take a little bit more time off in between. So if Anderson's going to go soon, it's going to be Weidman. If not, we might see kind of a mini tournament, maybe Bisping Stan. The winner of that will fight Weidman, and we'll get a champion. We'll get a contender for the champion.
And were you also as confused as I was by Congo's strategy against Sean Jordan? Well, he seemed to be winning on his feet, But every time he'd get in a couple of licks, he'd rush him and push him against the cage. And there's no way he was taking that guy down.
Yeah, I mean, they would just clinch, and they kind of stayed there, and shame on the ref for really not getting in there and breaking these guys apart and getting them the opportunity to fight. But, you know, Chet Congo was, and Sean Jordan, they really didn't put on a great fight last night, and that was unfortunate because a lot of people were expecting to see fireworks there. You know, that's what you want when you have a heavyweight fight. You want to see, you know, a quick knockout or something exciting, and that's not what we saw.
Well, I tell you what, Jordan, it is what it is. Sometimes you don't get, you know, at least we had the fastest knockout in UFC history, 7 seconds. But, you know, sometimes that is compromise versus just some, you know, bell curve type fights with some other fighters. But, again, for the most part, a much more exciting and exhilarating sport, I say, than boxing. If boxing doesn't get going, there's a lot of the momentum built up in boxing, I think, will be lost to this new sports generation.
I agree. You know, Dana White said last night that you can count, you know, the number of bad nights or fights they've had on one hand, and they probably added to it last night. But just remember, in 2 or 3 weeks from now, we have Frankie Edgar fighting Benson Henderson at UFC 150 in Denver, which should be another great match. The last time they fought back in Japan in February, these guys, you know, put on a great fight, and we're expecting nothing less again in Denver in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
And also on the undercard of that will be another great lightweight matchup with Donald Cerrone against Melvin Gillard. So that one should show some fireworks.
That should be good. Yeah, those are guys who knows how to strike, and I can't wait for that fight.
Well, Jordan, we certainly appreciate your insight. We appreciate your website, and I tell you, sometimes it looks like today at the British Open, MMA may be easier to do than golf.
Yeah.
No, we appreciate all the excitement, the information, and knowledge that your website, and the folks that you work with bring to the public. Again, one last time, how can people find you?
Well, follow us on Twitter. It's at Nonstop MMA, or go to our website, MMANonstop.com. Foss and Eddie, thank you so much for having us on. We always love coming up on the horn and talking to you guys about all that's going on in the world of MMA.
That's right, and we're also down in San Antonio on 1250 ESPN San Antonio. So the audience is widening, man, and so is the love for the sport.
Thanks so much, guys.
Okay, appreciate that. All right, and again, stay tuned for UFC 150 because that's going to be the next opportunity for.
And that's August 11th?
Yes. And
then after that will be the next title defense by light heavyweight champ John Bones Jones on Labor Day weekend.